Hey guys, welcome to the Dirty Truth Behind Health. My name's Bryden Coles from Back on Track Fitness.
And I am Maria King from Progressive Health.
Beautiful. So today's podcast, episode 1, is all about gut health. Now, obviously, we wanted to start the ball rolling with something pretty specific to absolutely everybody and very, very important. Probably one of the most important things you'll ever do in your life is focus on your gut. Now, as Maria is the absolute expert, hands down, in this area, I'm going to be taking a bit more of an interview role, and we'll be throwing some questions and barbs and hopefully make it reasonably entertaining for you all, but more importantly, educate you guys on what you really need to know about the gut. So, firstly, Maria, why is the gut and your gut health so important?
Wow. I think we need to do a double episode on this. Gut health. I mean, if you wanted to rectify any ailment in your body, you always have to start with the gut. I always have to make sure that your gut health is working fine, because even if you're trying to remedy a sore knee, you need to be able to access the nutrients required from your gut. So gut health, I mean, there is more and more research going on around how there's a gut-brain connection. Our immune system resides in our gut. We produce serotonin in the gut, which then helps melatonin and then helps us sleep. Sorry, we're at the gym, at Bryden's amazing gym. The gut, I mean, we're learning more and more about the microbiome, which is around bacteria and how essential it is for, our mental health, for weight management, for immune support. The list goes on. Also helps us digest food. So it is absolutely imperative, and I hope that by the end of this podcast that you have some better understanding around gut health, why it's important, and some tips that you can actually add to your day, and a starting place to improve gut health. And it won't stop here, us talking about gut health. We'll talk about it many a time, because it really does interlink with everything.
I've actually got some stats here, facts about the gut. Now, I love my facts and stats. Did you know, so there's going to be 5 points here, each one more intriguing than the next. So the intestines, all right, where all the bacteria and that is formed, and obviously all the nutrients released into the blood flow. The intestines actually have a 40 times larger area than the surface of your skin.
It is crazy. It is bigger. So inside your intestine, it's not just like a flat surface. It's actually quite rippled. And so that's what they're meaning, if you flatten that all out.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing.
There are more nerves between the whole, there are more nerves in the guts than there are the whole spinal cord.
Yeah. And they used to think that there was just a one-way pathway, so you'd go from the brain to the gut. But in fact, we've found that the scientists have found that it's going back and forth information, which is part of that gut-brain connection.
Absolutely huge gut-brain connection. There are 100 trillion bacteria in the gut. And 95% of them are actually good for the human body.
Yeah, so for people looking for some weight loss on their scales, there is about 2 kilos of bacteria in the gut. So everyone shave 2 kilos off those scales.
Funny enough, everyone thinks bacteria is bad. 95% of that 100 trillion is good. And obviously the guts are very closely related to the lymphatic system.
Yes.
So 2/3 of all your immune system are to do directly with the guts. It's pretty big, isn't it? And then last one, my favourite, being a health and fitness dude, 20 types of different hormones are produced in the gut, not just estrogen and testosterone.
Wow.
Pretty important, yeah?
Very important for every aspect. I mean, you've touched on so many different things which affect all different parts of your life, so most definitely.
And last of all, 50,000 tonnes of food will be passed through your digestive system over a lifetime.
That is just... It kind of makes me feel a bit nauseous thinking about all that food going through.
It's a fair bit. Okay, so Maria, so we've been through why the gut is so important. Now, what are some of the signs and symptoms that you have poor gut health?
Definitely big ones. People are dealing with reflux or heartburn. People are dealing with feeling bloated, So it's that whole feeling of, I just feel so full and horrible after a meal. Or some people experience bloating as the day goes on. And it's really, some people can even look like it. I often hear the complaint of, I look pregnant by the time I go to bed. Bad breath, did I mention? Constipation, diarrhea, fatigue. I mean, if you're not absorbing the nutrients, your body's not breaking down and processing those nutrients coming through your food, you're going to feel really tired.
That goes with poor sleep as well.
Most definitely. You can bloating. So where am I? Headaches, nausea,
Body odor.
Honestly, it could be really plain. Like your digestive symptoms can be expressed in many different ways. Inflammation in the body. If you've got a poor digestive system, you can get these aches and pains around the body as well. So,
Chinese medicine and many data research articles show that pretty much every known disease to man can be traced back to digestive health. So it's pretty important. It is very important, especially with weight loss and mental health as well. We might throw in there. All right, perfect. So we're going to roll through the 5 steps to reduce or to increase gut health and reduce problems with your gut. Number 1, Maria, please explain. Chew your food.
Oh my goodness, I hold sessions just on chewing food, and it might seem somewhat dated, but oh boy, the next session 9 times out of 10 the person comes back and they just like, I can't believe what a change that makes. So chew your food. We have digestive enzymes in the body. One is in our saliva, that is amylase, that will start to break down the food. But also by chewing and using those chompers that we've been given, that we can then actually break it down and not put so much pressure on our stomach and the stomach acid that we need. And often something like this can help people that experience reflux, because then they're not just kind of swallowing food after a 1-2 chew, and then the acid has to build up to try break it down to get it back through to the get through the intestine.
I'm a bit of a shocker at that.
A lot of people
get it down there, as you will. It's going to run away if you don't.
Most definitely,
or someone else will.
It's true. People are always in a rush as well. So definitely slow down, chew your food, and especially if you're having something that's maybe you think you shouldn't be having, and it's maybe something you really enjoy eating, even more so chew it, because I know that people tend to kind of go, try shove it away and get rid of it, which we will talk about in a mindful session around eating, but chewing, we'll bring that up again. Chewing is so important, and as daggy as this is, digestion does start in the mouth, so chew, please chew.
From a calorie sort of guy, it's definitely what takes 15 minutes to realise you're full.
Yeah, hey?
So if you're eating something you probably shouldn't be, you don't want to be overeating for sure. So.
Exactly, and being quite conscious about it's a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Perfect. So number 1, chew your food. Number 2, inflammation of the gut. So,
we want to reduce inflammation.
Absolutely.
Inflammation's not a good thing in the body. Particularly in the gut. So there's obviously the big culprits, which is no surprise to anyone. It's things like caffeine, alcohol, pharmaceutical medication, processed food,
soft drinks,
stress, the air we breathe. No, maybe. Look, really, reducing inflammation is really important. Having things in your diet like good fats are great anti-inflammatory. Trying not to eat in a stressful situation. I definitely recommend people that are stressed to just wait until you. I know that everyone can feel stressed a lot of the day, but if you're at a particular peak of stress, give yourself half an hour before you eat, because you'll probably find that you'll chew better as well. And then obviously, it may not be obvious, but water. Water's a big one. We really need that hydration in the body, although I do say to try and not drink too much around that, 10-minute either side of a meal, because you'll dilute your stomach acid too much and it slows down digestion.
Yeah, I was going to throw that at you.
Yeah.
So, summary, I guess, inflammation of the gut. It's the hormone production centre of the body.
Ah, yes, your favourite.
It's the hormone production. That is my favourite. You don't get muscles without it.
Without it, no. And I suppose, I'm more than happy to talk about the kind of fitness side of the hormones, but I'm definitely more thinking about that serotonin production, because sleep is a huge factor as well.
95% of serotonin made in the gut. It's so important. You want to be happy, you need serotonin.
Certainly do. And you also need it, like I mentioned earlier, it's about having it to convert to melatonin, which helps with our sleep. So very, very important.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, testosterone obviously helps you put on muscle, speeds up the metabolism. So having a healthy gut, less estrogen,
Yes.
helps you put on fat. It's just, it all comes down to weight loss as well.
Most definitely. We're going to stay within a healthy weight range, and we'll definitely have a podcast around hormones, in particular to cortisol, testosterone, and estrogen.
It's a bit of a catch-22, isn't it? Like you're meant to be a healthy weight, but if you don't, your gut health doesn't improve, you're not going to be that healthy weight, which is not going to help your gut health. So it's all interrelated.
Most definitely, and often people say, "Oh, I rectify their digestive symptoms." Essentially, can happen in 1 or 2 consultations, and they feel like they've lost weight, but they've just lost feeling so bloated and congested. So it's quite profound how different you can feel about yourself by helping.
Absolutely, less toxins in the body too.
Totally, which we will definitely have a podcast on that as well around detoxification.
Yeah, that's a big one. I mean, I'm a believer in it.
So am I.
Absolutely,
and I think. Sorry, but just about, I don't mean to cut you off, but around reducing inflammation, not eating too late at night, having that burden, and that links it back to detoxification, and you'll hear a lot of mainstream medicine, but you don't need to detoxify because we do it every night. That's true, but if you've just eaten 10 minutes before you've gone to bed, your body's going to be in a process of digestion rather than detoxification.
So raise your metabolic rate, that sort of stuff,
And it just, it slows the process. 9 times out of 10
more blood in your gut,
in the gut,
less in your liver.
Yeah, and your
detox doesn't happen as well.
It goes in the back burner because digestion's a priority. So, and then 9 times out of 10 you wake up feeling foggy as well because you're just been digesting all night rather than resting and healing.
This is where it's going to get fun because I'm going to argue that calories is brilliant. You need calorie consistency for weight loss, and you're going to say don't eat before bed.
Don't eat before bed. Well, you've got to eat within the time frame allocated.
It all comes down to planning. We'll get to that another one because we'll talk for ages on this.
I know.
All right, step number 3. So first one, chew food. Second, gut and inflammation. Third, vegetables. Before you start, I'll read out some stats. So 50% of adults and 67% of kids eat enough fruit each day, but only 5% of adults and kids eat enough vegetables per day.
Wow, that makes me want to cry.
It's not a very impressive stat, is it?
It's not, and I just think just the world we live in, we're just so busy. Everyone's so busy, whether you don't have kids, you have kids, I just hear everyone's busy, everyone's got stuff going on, and everyone's just time poor in relation to trying to nourish themselves, and I definitely think that's something we're trying to shift in people's mentality.
I mean, look at society today. I mean, I watch the cricket occasionally. You always see lamb ads. You never see vegetable ads. You walk through a supermarket. You never see bloody broccoli half price. So only jack that stuff up. It's your shit foods, obviously.
I know, and it's so much cheap. Don't get me wrong, you can eat healthy cheap, which we'll definitely have another podcast on that. But people just unfortunately can't bother with the time that it takes to prepare food.
I mean, I've always told people that it's cheaper to eat healthy. I mean, it's more expensive to eat healthy, cheaper to eat crap, but I mean, at the end of the day, you're paying a lot of money for.
You're going to be paying for your health in the end, aren't you?
100%.
And I've done that, and that's so not true. I've
people's
done
mentality,
that
but we're going to have to.
We'll have to do an experiment on that. I've done that in my own life, and experimented, and it's actually not true.
You can eat Macca's for a month.
It's horrible, and you don't feel satisfied.
No, you feel like
you don't feel satisfied, and then you overeat, and then what happens? You get this digestive inflammation.
And you feel like crap.
Vegetables. I honestly feel like it could hold a whole podcast on
Okay,
vegetables.
so I mean, a lot of people, like, how many different types of vegetables should you eat?
I definitely try to have at least 3 different colours if I can on a plate, and it's not hard. And
what's the most important vegetable?
Most important vegetable.
Just give us one that everyone should look at almost daily.
I'm gonna go with. Oh, that's a really hard question. I love them all. I'm thinking, what would be the best one? Gosh, I would say zucchini.
Zucchini. It's going to be one of the dark green ones.
It is dark, and it's got so much water in there. It's got lots of fibre. It's so easy to cook.
Broccoli, spinach, do they get close?
Of course. I think I went for zucchini because it's my favourite. Sorry, I'm a bit biased.
Cool, so broccoli.
But broccoli's definitely up there, especially when we talk about the hormonal side of it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's that estrogen clearance for sure.
Yeah, so the dark green ones are pretty important, aren't they?
Most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think the point I'd just like to make here is don't forget about vegetables at breakfast. Everyone seems to just either go with a very kind of, cereals or...
When did cereals become a fashion?
Since, this whole, revolution
What
around...
year was it?
What year? Do you know the answer?
Or was it? I mean, I know the food pyramid came out in the 80s.
Yeah,
I
don't know.
Sponsored by the wheat farmers.
It's just all... It's really government. I can't help but blame that. We could have another podcast on that. But I really do blame farming, advertising, and their businesses at the end of the day. That's what they're really wanting. They just want to make a buck. It's quick and easy. All you have to do is pour and pour, So I say don't forget vegetables at breakfast. It's so easy. I do this thing.
So 3 times daily, breakfast, lunch, dinner?
Yeah, snacks. Let's not forget that.
So
I'm putting that down on our list to have a session, do a podcast on vegetables and talk about how to get it in there.
Fresh or frozen?
Oh, you know what? If you're starting out, I'm going to say either.
Doesn't matter.
It won't matter because they snap freeze them anyway. So nutritionally, yes, they're still there.
I've heard it's actually better if they're frozen.
Really?
Yeah.
We don't know how long look, we can look into that more.
Do a bit of research,
I think we
Friday
can
night.
have a little debate on that. But look, I say if it's going to be frozen, do it. I'd rather you have frozen than nothing at all. So that's definitely my go-to.
I've actually started eating frozen broccoli and that sort of stuff, not zapping it in the microwave.
Not? No. Oh, just have it frozen, yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Totally. My kids are all over that. And I bet you there'd be loads of people that would agree with this. Kids love frozen vegetables. They do peas all the time. They love it. Frozen berries as well. So, yeah, we don't have to just... And especially now that summer, with hot weather, it's a good time to get that going. So vegetables. Don't forget about breakfast. Don't worry about it. You can have soup for breakfast. I love soup for breakfast. Or salads for breakfast with just a minute steak. It does not take time. I'm doing the school rush, so there's no excuse. If I can, you can.
Or you can just prep your food. That
Exactly.
kind of takes a lot of it out.
Exactly. So I'm putting that down as on my wish list for a podcast.
Perfect. All right, we've already got 37 podcasts ready to go. Better sitting down doing it. All right, number 4, exercise.
Oh,
All right,
so important.
I'll start us off.
All right, you start us off. Go
This
for it.
is my baby. So I'll start off with the next study. So exercise related to gut health. Study done by the University of Illinois. So 32 adults who were sedentary and overweight were told they had to exercise at least 5 times a week for 30 minutes over a 6-week period. They measured the microbes in the gut, and especially the short-chain fatty acids. These fatty acids, obviously, well, you can tell us more about this in the end, but they reduce the inflammation, diseases like type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart disease, all this sort of stuff. And obviously metabolic health too. So if you want to break down food, you want to burn calories, all that sort of stuff, very important function. Tissue repair as well. And they have the most important role in all our organ functions. Now, these, obviously, because we're mentioning it, improved gut health by the end. They improved the amount of these fatty acids and obviously reduced the amount of inflammation. A couple of things that were brought up in the study was that they, by default, people exercising, they eat healthier.
Yeah.
By default.
Definitely.
And just helps the body obviously become more efficient. Reduces cortisol, which is also good. All right, so tell us, exercise and gut health. What are your thoughts on it?
So I'd say so that definitely, short-chain fatty acids are essential. We need them. They are there to reduce inflammation. But then I think about the mechanical side of exercising, which helps with that peristalsis. So, we think about a worm and how it manoeuvres, across the earth or through the dirt. And it's essentially what our intestines do to move waste, and that's our bowel movement. So that movement and doing those lower body exercises and moving your body around actually helps, physically move your digestive system. And often people will come in with constipation and find that just starting to exercise can help. So I would definitely say exercise is an important part to, especially spin class.
Spin class. Take it to start.
I know.
Spin class.
I always feel like I'm going to faint those classes. Thank God I don't do them anymore. But
No.
But definitely, doing squats, lunges, all those sort of lower body activity are really, really helpful for gut and digestive function. In particular, as I said, peristalsis. which is important. Also, exercise helps to release stress. The activity of having a bowel movement, we need our parasympathetic nervous system to be in play. It's a relaxing motion. So exercise helps to alleviate stress.
You have to wear your poo t-shirt next time.
So definitely.
So it helps cortisol. That in turn is going to help your guts.
Of course, definitely. But at the same time, like what's being noted here, that if you're going to exercise and smash it 2 days a week, 2 times a day, 7 times a week, that's excessive, unless you're doing proper, elite training, and you actually would be nourishing yourself.
Yeah, so you can overtrain, obviously.
Most definitely.
Obviously, you can overtrain,
Yes.
And don't do that.
Don't do that.
Don't overtrain. I think we'll start with trying to get people. I think it's recent stats are like something like 10 or 11% of the population actually regularly exercise.
So it's not really.
So we're not really at a risk of overtraining.
No.
Just quite yet.
No, it's a small percentage, but. I'm more inclined to go, okay, yes, definitely helping with microbiome, so that definitely has shown changes. And I love just how simple that is around saying, you start exercising, by default you do want to eat better. You don't want to, you don't have the desire to want to eat so much crap, excuse my French.
Also, going back to the organ functions, if you improve them, it's obviously going to improve your stomach health, and that's been shown time and time again to relieve symptoms of obesity, depression, and also autism. Yeah,
that's a big topic, and I really want to do.
It's one that I've been passionate about for quite a while. It's anxiety doesn't have to be. I think a lot of people can take big steps to help curing their anxiety. I grew up with a parent that suffered anxiety, so it's definitely something that I've seen be turned around from. It's taking simple things like exercise and gut health and learning a bit more about it. Perfect.
Most
all right.
Definitely, I totally agree. I think we could do another podcast on
that. So, chewy food, inflammation of the gut, vegetables, exercise. Last of all, a bit of fasting.
Yes, I think this is really important. Often people eat too late before bed. My take home would be really try to start doing at least a minimum of 2 hours. Ideally it's 3. Actually, what research shows us is 3.5 hours. But that can
Depends what you eat.
Be a stretch.
If you're smashing a steak down, that's going to take you 7 hours to digest.
Yeah.
If you're eating 5 kilos of it versus
Definitely.
100 grams. So much to sort of take into consideration there.
There is a lot to take into consideration, but I think at least if you could start off with that 2 hours before bed and then go, see how I feel with that. I would aim for a good 12-hour fast overnight. Ideally, if you're not used to that, start with going, okay, well, I'm just not going to eat that an hour or 2 before bed, and then increase that over time. But fasting, it will take pressure off the gut overnight. It allows it to rest and heal. The thing is, we're in this modern society where food is everywhere, and we're just constantly getting our body to digest. But in saying that, I will agree with you in saying that you do need to get the appropriate calorie intake in, but you just need to do it within that certain time frame.
I think also, the misconception amongst a lot of people is to eat properly, to eat, to have good energy levels, you actually need to eat 5, 6, 7 times a day.
Yeah. Okay.
It's bullshit. You don't need to.
No, I thought you're saying it is. I'm like, how am I going to say
No, don't be stupid. You just got time to do that.
No, I agree.
3 to 4 times a day, and yeah.
And each person's individual as well. Like, everyone's unique, So if you've got, diabetes, you've got a certain category. If you, weight training, you got this. If you're not and you're sedentary, then there'd be this, So that does come down to the individual.
So fasting's very important.
Yes, definitely.
But answer me this: if someone can't fast straight away, it's healthy to be a healthy weight and then start the fasting than it is to try and fast and get all the other things in order.
I think just start slow, exactly.
Start slow. So fasting is definitely important long term.
I think fasting, it's an easy thing to do, personally. I really think it is.
Look at you. You're not one of these, one of these listeners out here trying to maybe that's 20, 30 kilos to lose.
Yeah, but fasting can actually, if you do it overnight, I'm not saying I don't do it.
What about like a Sunday fast?
A Sunday fast? What's a fast on Sunday? That's a day to relax and eat.
You're pretty busy.
Yeah, I know. I think overnight fasting's easy. Whether you agree or not, I truly think it is. I think it's a good place to start.
Read something interesting on fasting.
Yeah.
4 days fasting your brain stops rejuvenating other body cells and starts rejuvenating brain cells.
Interesting, isn't it?
Obviously, the adaptation over many thousands of years, the Homo sapiens, if we're stupid, we're not catching food.
Yeah, that's
So,
crazy,
if you want to get smarter, just don't eat for 4 days. Do not take my word for
do
that. Go
that.
consult your doctor. But
Don't do
it's
that.
been shown that the brain does tick in, so that's a kind of
There is
fight or flight
mountains
mechanism.
of research around
mechanism.
fasting.
Yeah, absolutely. So perfect. Yeah, maybe don't go that extreme, but
Not just no. I know I've definitely had people that
make
have
sure you're
done that,
monitored.
and you need to be doing it under supervision. I definitely recommend.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And you wouldn't just go from 0 to 4 days. But, I mean,
People do it, but
there's a lot we don't really understand about the human body, and that's just,
That's
I think
very
that's just
true.
one of them.
very, very true.
Perfect. So, they're the 5 points we're going to go through today. Now, a few quick, one especially, Maria, one question for you, since this is your area of expertise. Probiotics, yes or no?
Yes, but I would wait
With a but. You could just say yes, you have to do a but.
Sometimes what happens is people got serious digestive issues and, all the symptoms
Does it
that I
hurt?
mentioned. Sorry?
Does it hurt?
It can. And I'll tell you why.
Cool. Yeah, that's what you're here for.
Yeah. So the reason is if you've got these digestive symptoms that I mentioned, in particular bloating, not feeling like you're full for long, or your bowels are irregular.
Not enough fibre, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
The thing is, what generally happens when we've got this gut inflammation is that our gut lining, so the intestinal lining, actually has what we call gut junctions. These gut junctions open when we're in this inflammatory state, and then probiotics can actually go through into the body and irritate. So it's not always the best place to start,
Not
except
always.
for one strain. Two strains.
Don't confuse people.
I know.
I promise it's
There's
going to
two
be simple.
strains. So this is why I say this is when being a nutritionist and actually seeing someone that's qualified is definitely
Absolutely.
of value, because if you just go and grab any good old multi-strain probiotic, 9 times out of 10, maybe 4 of those are not ideal. So there are 2 particular strains that I would recommend to do, but I have to be specific because one of them will help your bowels slow down and the other one will help you speed up a bit. So, you can't just be like, just take any probiotic.
Just take it.
No.
All right. Alcohol. How much is safe to drink?
None. That's what research is showing.
Of course. Okay, so
Look, I think if we
not
look
daily.
at the Mediterranean diet, there is a lot of research around that, and they have I think it's 1 ounce, 1 ounce of red wine with dinner. Yeah, I think that if you're having a very small, quarter of a glass with dinner, but who does that? No one does that. In fact, research stats are showing that more women are now drinking than men between Australia and New Zealand. So we're taking over, us girls. That whole having a glass of wine at night is now turning into a bottle. And in fact, I do it.
So okay. So what this says is maybe very monitored moderation.
Let me put it this way.
Maybe once a week, but don't exceed 2 drinks.
Don't feel drunk. That's really the goal. I mean, of course people are going to, but don't. Let me just put this as a thought and remember this, is that we use alcohol and it's an antibacterial. And so we're trying to improve our gut microbiome, so our gut
95%
bacteria.
good.
And then
We're
we
gonna
drink
kill it.
alcohol, you go and kill it.
We're going to kill it.
So if you're drinking daily, every second day, or having a binge drink, and then you're trying to have probiotics and do the right thing for your gut, it's counterproductive. And I'm not saying it's an easy change, because I know that there's cultural impact, I get that, but I think that if you just consider that at a minimum might help you slow down.
It takes, if you get plastered on Saturday night, which a lot of Australians do,
Yes.
it takes you 4 to 5 days to rebound your testosterone levels. So for the next 4 to 5
Wow.
days, your body is fighting to get your testosterone
Get back
levels up.
again.
Yeah, so if you're trying to build on muscle, you're basically wasting your whole week. Not wasting, but you're never going to waste
Well,
it.
yeah,
You're working against it. You've got the handbrakes on.
Well, that's right, you just feel like you're not progressing.
Yeah.
You kind of make it up, but then you lose it again. You make it up and you lose it again.
Well, show me someone that's in shape, a bodybuilder,
Yeah.
that drinks alcohol. It just doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Last thing,
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah, coffee's quite irritating, and I think if anyone's got...
Organic versus normal coffees,
I tend to...
differences.
I
Trying to beat
Yeah,
it for you.
know. I would just definitely, if you're doing decaf, to make sure that you're doing it with CO2 extraction, and because if you get, so you want to get an organic decaf because they take the caffeine out by using an oxygen method. So if you don't have it organic, then it's going to be sprayed with chemicals, and that's irritating.
Okay, so organic.
Definitely organic if you can. Obviously, when you're out, maybe that's a bit hard. But they're dime a dozen nowadays. Cafes are getting all fancy. And then the other thing is if you suffer with reflux, I would definitely stay away from it to do some gut healing. And then my other life forever, always do this for life. Never drink coffee before eating. Is one of my life rules.
Okay.
Don't ever drink.
So no coffee before eating. You can drink
because it's
it.
very irritating to
Try and
digest
get
wine.
limited. I mean, look, we're going to talk a lot more about this, but limitations are key. Well, you don't have to be perfect. No one's going to be perfect. No one's going to not drink alcohol, not eat
Perfect.
chocolate.
I
Don't
think
have
you're
coffee.
you're probably stressed out.
There's a big difference between one coffee and 4 coffees, one drink and 4
Most
bottle.
definitely. Moderation.
Moderation.
Moderation, people.
We won't go too much into that. So we'll talk all night.
I know.
Alrighty. Alright, so they're the 5 tips. So chew food, inflammation of the gut, vegetables, exercise, and fasting. So I mean, each one of those we can go do a 40-minute presentation. We're not going to do that tonight. We're going to stick to half an hour as close as we can get it. And then I'm going to train.
Good on you.
Good on me. Alright, last of all, we're going to leave you with a true or false, Maria. Is it okay to go to the toilet every second day?
No. You should
So that'd
have
be false.
That is false.
That'd be false. Good.
Sorry.
Answer the question.
Sorry.
Alright,
Yes,
why?
false. It's a detoxification. It's a way our body detoxifies.
Get rid of toxins out of
There
your
is
food.
4 ways the body detoxifies: our lungs, our bladder, our bowels, and our skin. And all of those need to be working on a daily, working and happening daily. You need to breathe, so that's important. You need to urinate, that's very important. Exercise and you'll sweat. And then we've got our bowel movements. You will feel toxic, you will feel heavy, you will feel fatigued. False, false, false.
So you need to go once or twice a day.
That depends on each person, how much they eat.
How much they eat?
I'm going to say once at minimum.
Once a minute.
Once in the AM, preferably.
So
In the
you're not
AM.
Well, that's
Good
after
idea.
morning coffee, right?
No!
I'm joking, just throwing some barbs. Beautiful. Well, that's pretty much it we got for the day. So hopefully the quality's been all good. These guys have been throwing around barbells in the background, so we will work on that for next podcast. But I hope this has been interesting for you guys. There'll be opportunities for you to ask plenty of questions coming up. Always open to podcast ideas. So maybe when we've knocked out all the ones we've spoken about today, like the first 50.
I know. I'm
We
excited.
shall-
I can't wait.
We behind the scenes, we have a lot of big arguments and all that sort of thing over what's better and what's not. So it's good fun. I mean, Maurice, how long have you been working?
For 4 years? For where?
Oh, so you've done your degree, which is like,
Oh,
God,
God.
how many years?
Years. That took me a while, but anyway. So
Yeah.
we've got enough time between us. We're what, 10?
11.
11?
Yeah.
God, I'm
Yeah.
older than you. Anyway.
So we're got a fair bit. So we'll see eye to eye on a lot of things, and we'll also be completely button heads on other
Most
stuff.
definitely.
So should be alright. Alright guys, hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure you hit us up. Got any questions? Ask away. This is Bryden from Back on Track.
And Maria from Progressive Health, I love you guts.
Yeah, love it. See you guys.
Yeah. I think that we need to actually sit down and
Let's
watch
do-
it back.